Aloha, Richard Halverson here. This is ITS 128, and today is March 3rd, and we're in like the 8th or the 9th week or so. Let me share my screen, see exactly where we are. And so this is what the syllabus looks like. And this is March 3rd around. And so we are in functions. Video 7. Did I do a video 8? All right. So why don't I start with section 5. Let's start with counting, I guess. Looping. All right, so counting in a while loop, commonly a loop should iterate a specific number of times, such as 10 times. But a programmer can use a variable to count the number of loops. Let's see, I'm going to see what we've covered here so far. Whiles. We've only covered whiles. We haven't gotten to fors yet. Okay, keep this straight. So, so you can, inside the while loop, you have something that looks like this. You initialize a variable at 1 or 0, and then each time you loop, inside the loop, you have something that just increments that variable by 1, and then you're counting how many, so then that variable serves as a loop counter. And then you can use that to possibly terminate the loop, or to know if you've actually found what you're looking for, or you've run past the end of the list, or something. So that's what a loop counter is for. A common error is to forget to include the loop counter. Okay, so in this particular case, we're going to loop n times, and so we start with a loop counter, and then while the loop counter is less than n, and we do a bunch of stuff, and then we increment the loop counter. Sometimes you forget to put the loop counter increment, so then this thing just loops around, and there's this never reaches, this never tests false, because I is never, the variable I is never incremented. So sometimes if I'm writing code for the first time, if I'm not just fixing something and I'm just, you know, writing code from scratch, I will just put the loop counter increment at the very top. I'll write this, and then I'll write this, and then I'll write this, but up on top. And that way, you know, I'll make sure that I don't forget it. All right. So you should make sure oh, and then there's also this thing called an off by 1 error, where you may, you know, it's where you may be off by 1. So here, for example, you want to do it where the loop iterates 99 times. Well, it's either going to be less than 99, you want to loop, or it's less than or equal to 99, you want to loop. If it's 99 times, this is the first time, it's probably, I think you want it to be equal. 1 to 2. Okay, I think this is the right answer. Yes. Sometimes you might make a mistake and do that, seeing that would not be the right answer. So. Loop iterates 2 times, so 1, 2, so while I is less than 3, less than or equal to 2. So you may also want to count down. You can do that directly. So you start out at 5, and then this conditional looks a little different. It's greater than or equal to, and then each time it loops, it decrements. Here we're looping 2 at a time, so we increment by 2. So this is only going to do 50. Loop over the presidential years. Write a program that prints the U.S. presidential election years from 1792 to present day, knowing that such elections occur every 4 years. Initialize your loop to 1792, and then don't forget to use that to avoid an infinite loop. So the current year is supposed to put a current year. Ooh, supposed to put a current year here. Okay, 2021. While year is less than or equal to 2021, or got to print, better print it. Print year. All right, so okay, so that's using a while loop structure to count. Now, as you may have guessed, oh, that's right, you can use these shorthand operators. Instead of writing that, we can write this, where we do plus equals. So if we have something like a variable name, and then an equal sign, and then a variable, and then the same variable name like that, and then a bunch of stuff afterwards, you can a shorthand for that is just to take this plus sign and put it before the equal sign, and then you don't have to put the I. So this is I equals I plus 1. So that's a shorthand. And you can do it for any operator. You can do it like this, can be written like this. And, you know, this can be written like this. So it's going to evaluate this expression first, and then it's going to do the multiply. So that's why this looks like this with the parentheses. So it doesn't like do num times x plus y. Okay, it's going to do x plus y times num. So those are shorthand operators, and you're going to be using those. Print output using a counter. Printing output using a counter. Retype or copy, then run the following code. Fix errors in the code, which should print number of stars and asterisks. Okay, so what are we supposed to do here? Okay, they want me to put this here. This is a challenge activity. Am I supposed to fix the code? Oh, I got to increment something. Ah, infinite loop. I got to increment something here. Num printed okay, great. Okay, now for loops. The following questions are part of Zybook's survey to help us improve our content so we can offer the best experience for students. The survey can be taken anonymously. Please take a short moment to answer. Okay, so maybe you can do that. Answer the survey here. Nice. Okay, so you can answer that survey. Okay, very good. Okay, for loops. So this is Python, so for loops can get pretty complicated. Okay, so what we're doing is we're doing for, and there's something that can iterate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this grabs them one at a time through the iteration of whatever that is from the beginning to the end, and then it's done. Okay. So printing every item in a list. Printing every item in a list. The for loop loops over each element in a container, and once it's done, it's done. So here, iterating over a list using a for loop. Okay, so here, here's a list, a nice list. There's 3 of them in there. It iterates, Bill, then Nicole. It's in order, And the first time it loops, it's going to name is going to be equal to Bill. Next time it's going to be Nicole, and third time it's John. So this is just going to say that this 3 times. Okay, first it does Bill. Hey, Bill. And then it does Nicole. Next one, hi, Nicole. And the third one is hi, John. Great. All right. Loop. A for loop assigns the loop variable with a dictionary's keys. Okay, so when we're iterating over a dictionary, the loop variable, which in this case is C, gets the key value. So the key is MTV is equal to 35, CNN is equal to 28. These are name value pairs, name value or key value. So when it iterates over the keys. So this is going to iterate from MTV to CNN to Fox to NBC to CBS in channels. And then you're able to grab the what MTV is, what C is equal to by doing channels, parentheses or square parentheses C. So this will give us when C is MTV, this will give us 35. When it's CNN, when C is CNN, channels of C gives us 28. And so that's why this is printed like that. Now you can also do, okay, so this is a dictionary. See, it's got these curly braces here, and it iterates through that. Here we're iterating using the same in operator, but here we're iterating characters in a string. See, so it sees this string here, and then it knows that, okay, it's an in, and it's just one string. It's not a list of strings. It's not a dictionary with that strings in it. It's just a plain old string. And so it's going to iterate one character at a time. So that's why it looks like this. So first character is going to be T, then character is going to be A, then character is going to be K, and so on. So here we're iterating over Scooter, Kobe, and Bella. Iterate over the list my prices using a variable called price. So if we have a list called my prices, it'd be for price in my prices, I think. Ooh, the colon's there. Iterate the string 911 using a variable called number. So it'd be number in string 911. Got to have a string indicating it's a string and not just 911. Okay, calculating shop revenue. Here we're looping. So this is a list, square brackets. So we're iterating just as the first one, the second one, the third one. And so day is going to equal to this one. First going to be this one. This is daily revenues. Daily revenues is this list. And this, okay, these are just comments. These are comments. So these are nothing. So this is going to loop. Each time day is going to be equal to another one of these values. And so this is going to add them up into a variable called total. And then we're going to, this len will give us the number of elements in the list. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so this is going to be 7. So this is going to give us an average. A loop may also iterate backwards. So you can use the word backward, reversed, using the reversed built-in method. Well, that's clever. Name in names and then name in reverse names. Okay. All right. Okay, so find the missing code to perform the desired calculation. Okay, so each list item is a number of kids in a family. Okay. Num in num kids, total equals total plus. So we're going to compute the average number of kids in a family. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 8 families, and this is the number of kids in each of the families. And we want to find the average number of kids in the families. So this is called num kids. So we're going to iterate num over this. So it's a list. So the first time num is equal to 1, num is equal to 2. So we're adding it up. It's just like this. So you can do that. Loop over, okay. Colors, color and colors, print the color. What am I supposed to do here? Print color and colors. Is that it? So write an expression to print each price in stock prices. This must be stock prices. And we're printing each one with a $sign in front of it. Okay, so this is an input. We read in this, and we split based on the spaces. There's a space there and a space there, so we get 3 of them. And that creates this list called stock prices. And then we want to loop for, and looks like we call it price because of that. That's the clue. Price in stock prices. Okay, printing a dictionary. So write a loop to print each contact in contact emails. Sample output looks like this. Okay, so we got we have this dictionary. This is the key. These are the keys. So we have a new. We're going to read in another, read in this, and we're going to add it in there like that. Okay, that's great. Now what am I supposed to do? All right. For new, for whatever, contact in contact emails. Print contact emails contact comma quote is quote comma C. So contact. So contact is this. So we're looping through 1, 2, 3, and we'll print the email first. This is the email, so that's that one. Now here we're just adding a new one, so it's going to do 4 of them. All right.
Mr. Haverson, what's
Yes.
the difference between while and the for loop?
Good question. Okay, for loop is expecting something that you can iterate through, which is in here, it's contact emails. You can iterate 1, 2, 3, or it can be a number. If this is just a number, it can be 0, starts out at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can iterate through that. And then this is a variable name that you will refer to the one instance as you're looping through. Okay, so that's a for. Now, so for is however many there are in here in this contact emails. However many there are in here, that's how many times you're going to loop. And each time you loop, the first time you loop, this is going to be how you refer to the value. And in the case of a dictionary, it's the key. So it's the first time contact is going to be this person's name. Next time it's going to be this person's name, this person's name. Okay, so for loop is like that. Whereas a while loop, you just loop while a condition is true. So you're actually for a while loop, let's see, you have an expression here, or you have the body of the loop, and that's going to iterate as long as this thing evaluates to true. So you see, it's kind of a much more primitive thing. Here we're actually, we don't know. In this particular case, for this particular example, we don't really know how long it's going to loop because at the bottom of every iteration of the loop, we read in another character, and then we go back and we test to see if that character is the letter Y or not. So this is going to stop, this loop is going to stop whenever the user types in something that is not that is not Y. So in this example here, we see we start out by setting that equal to that, setting the user character equal to Y, and then we do this test. Is user character equal to Y? Yes, it is. So then it's going to execute this. It's going to execute that. It's going to read the next one. And the next one is Y here, because that's the input. And it's Y, so it's going to do that again. And executes this. It's another Y. It's going to do it again. It's going to read this again, and this time it reads in an N. So now it knows to stop. So now it goes up here. It's an N, so then it stops, and it goes down here. It's done. So you see the knowing when to stop is different. For a for loop, going into the loop how many times you're going to iterate most of the time. In fact, I should say all the time. Whereas with a while loop, you may know in the beginning, but if you do know in the beginning, you better program it that way. Or with a while loop, it can be doing something where there's a calculation inside this body, and then it comes back around again, and then that causes it to stop looping. So a while loop is a lot more flexible, you'd say, than a for loop, and you can always write a for loop as a while loop. You just have to get down to more basics, but you cannot always write a while loop as a for loop. Okay, so that's another way thinking about it and looking at it. So for example, if you have a for loop like this, see, we're in for loops, it's 403. Let's try something like, let's find one of these nice examples here. Let's do okay, let's do this one here. This is one we just did. This is the end. Okay, so I'm going to pop up this thing, and I'm going to, let's see, let me just close this. This is ICS 128. Do I have a 128 folder here? Yeah, I do right here. 128 folder. Let me open this up. And I got a test.py in here. What did I just do? Let me open this up. So this, okay, here's a nice test.py. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it here. And so what I'm looping through all four of them or something like that. So I did a for contact in contact emails. Print contact emails of contact is a contact. Okay. And so if we run this, save this, pull up a command prompt, CMD, it's up over here. And if I go CD desktop, because it's on my desktop, and then do CD ITS 128, because it's in my ITS 128 folder, and I do a dir, and there's my test.py. So let me do py space test.py, and the first thing it's waiting for me now is to enter in that new person's name. So let me do that. Alf. And what is it asking me for? First, it's asking me for the name, and then it's asking me for the email. So first, it's going to ask me for the name, which is Alf, and then it's going to ask me for the email, which is alf1@hmail.com. Enter, and then it prints out all four of them. Okay, so that's what that does. And now, if I want to, let's say I wanted to instead have a while loop. Well, let's see, how might I do that? I can do let's see, num equals, how do I find out how many elements are in a dictionary? This is harder. I shouldn't be doing a dictionary example because it's hard to access. Yeah. I'm not going to use a dictionary example because a dictionary example is hard because you can't, unless you know a key value, you can't easily get a key value. Okay, so you have to do some fancy things like traversing. So I'm just going to change. I'm going to do a different example. But what I'm trying to show you is when you can use a while loop instead of a for loop. And this is a good exercise. I mean, there's going to be some times. Okay, so here, let's do this one. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to run this, save it, and I think I can just run it. Okay, good. Weekly revenue is that, and daily average revenue is that. Okay, is that what we get here? We get 1388. $13,888.69 and 1984.10. Okay, so we have a for loop. We have a for loop, right? So we're in for day. So the first time day is equal to this value, and the next time it's equal to this value, and third time it's equal to this value. Through that, so it's going to be 1, 2. So it's going to do it 7 times, or seven days in a week. So instead, we can do this. Let's see. I'm just going to use I equals 0. So that's going to index the first one. While I is less than the number of the length of the list, while I is less than the number of elements in this list. That's right, isn't it? Let's do it real quick. Python length of list is len. Yeah, okay, I'm right. So while that's that, I want to say that a day is equal to daily revenues, left parentheses I. Okay, so that day is going to equal to that. Okay, and then I'm going to do total day. So instead of let's see, I still need to initialize total, but instead of doing this, I can do this. So I'm going to comment this out. I do this. All right, so now that's commented out, and it's going to do this instead, and I should get exactly the same answer. Let's save first. Save. Now, what happened? Okay, does anybody know what happened? I didn't increment I. So I is equal to 0, keeps on equaling 0. Okay, so it never stops. It's not stopping. Okay, it's not stopping. How do I stop it? I think I'm going to do Control C, Control X. Uh-oh. Let me stop it. Escape. This is crazy. I should be able to do Control C. It's not working. Okay, I'm gonna try. I'm just gonna try exiting. Let's try this again. CD desktop CD ITS 128. Okay, now I gotta make sure to put in this I equals I plus 1. That's got to be in there. Now I can run this. py test.py. Okay, now it works. All right, so anyway, print y. So I just wanted to show you that you can do, okay, so that answers your question. That was a very long answer to your question. Difference between while and for. All right, so later on I'll get into I'll come back to that problem I was showing you where when you want to iterate through a dictionary and you don't know any of the names of the keys or anything, it's pretty tough to do with a while loop. You have to use some other methods that are available for dictionaries to sort of pop off, you know, the first dictionary entry or something, or just to return to you the name, yeah, the return of the name of the first dictionary entry, and then after that you can continue on from there because you can get the next one after that. But we'll cover that later when we get more into dictionaries and so on, and lists and other kinds of data structures. All right, so that was that one. Just did that one. Let's do counting. So the range function, this is a way to make it so you can iterate starting from 0 up to something. So this range y will give you the sequence of all the non-negative integers less than y. So range 3 will give you 0, 1, 2. So you can iterate it. You can use a for loop. You do for I equals, or for I in range, and the first I is going to be 0, and the second I is going to be 1, and the third I is going to be 2, and so on. When you do range like this, you're going from this one to this one, okay? Except for you include this one, but you do not include this one. So you go starting from X, you start with X, and you go all the way up, but not including Y. So you go up to just before Y. Okay. So it's greater than or equal to X and less than Y. So something like this is going to create, you know, and it's up, so it's going to be -7, -6, -5, -4, and then it's not going to be this -3. So this is going to be like the next one that it's not. Okay. Here, the Z gives you an incrementing value. So normally this default is 1. So for all these, the default is 1, but you can change it to something different, and it's going to increment by a different number. So for example, this is going to go from 0 to 50, but not including 50, 10 at a time. So it's going to be 0, and then 10, and then 20, and then 30, and then 40, but it's not going to be 50 because 50 is beyond. And when Z is negative, then we're going down. Better make sure that this number is bigger than this number, because if we're going down, we're going from here down to here.
Mr. Halverson, do you have to like define the letter as an integer? Like
no, it'll know it's an integer. Yeah, you don't have to. You're talking about the variable that's actually used in the iteration. It's like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll if you put a variable there in here, then it'll take on the property that it's an integer. So
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so you don't have to specifically declare it earlier as an integer, like you have to do in many other programming languages. But
Okay. All right.
All right, so that was a good question. So here's an example of we're calculating. We read in this, we read in this, we read in this, we print a blank line, and then we go. our savings starts out, let's say we start with $10,000 and we're going to invest it with an interest, and the interest rate is going to be 5%. And it looks like we're compounding it yearly. So how many years, however many years it is, let's say whatever it is, this is going to go from 0 to 9, let's say it's 10 years. This is going to go from 0 to 9. First time it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's say that's if this ends up being 10. And so here, what we're doing is we're printing out whatever our savings is, and then we are taking that savings, multiplying it by the interest rate, and that's going to give us a little bit of interest, and we're going to add that to the savings. So that's what that is. So we take the savings, multiply it by this 0.05, get a little bit of interest, and add that value to here, and that gives us a new savings. And then we come back around and do the next year, and we keep on doing this for 10 years, and we end up, and we see how much money we end up after 10 years. Okay, let's make this 10 and see what happens. And we end up with, $15,513. I'm gonna write this down. 15,513.28. And what time is it? I'm gonna do something fancy here. I'm gonna change this to interest rate of that, and I'm gonna do, so instead of compounding it yearly, I'm gonna compound it monthly. Okay, so I'm gonna do I in the range of years times 12. It's me 12 months, and each time I'm going to savings in a month. So let's print that out, and every time a savings times interest rate is divided by 12 because it's a monthly interest rate instead of a yearly interest rate. And we're going to do the same number of years, and I'm going to do this. If I mod 12 equals 0, then print that. So I'm still only going to print every year, but I'm going to compound monthly. Think that'll work? I'm going to see if that works. So that it got to be that number. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, this, do this. And I'm going to set this aside. Turn to that. Now I'm going to run this, and I've modified this. See what happens. 15,668.47 compared to we get a little bit more money. A little bit more money. We end up, if we compound monthly, we end up after 10 years, we end up with like a $105 or something more than more. Anyway. All right. That's interesting. So this tests your understanding of the loop. It's going to 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, space 1, space. Yes. Times 2. So it's going to be 0, space 1 times 2 is 2, space. Is that it? Yeah, okay. All right, while versus for. Good question. While loops and for loops correspondence. Okay, both for loops and while loops can be used to count a specific number of loop iterations. A for loop combined with range is generally preferred over while loops since the loops are less likely to become stuck in an infinite loop situation. A programmer may easily forget to increment a while loop's variable. That never happens, causing an infinite loop. But the for loops iterate over a finite number of elements in a container and are thus guaranteed to complete. So here, you know, showing the difference here, showing that they're, what does this do? Oh, how you convert a while loop to a for loop. All right, iterate until the values of x are equal, where x and y are changed in the loop body. Or I guess that'd be a while loop. All right, nested loops. We can have nested loops, loops inside loops. So here, for example, how far is this chapter going? Okay, I think I'll finish nested loops, maybe, yeah, and then maybe I'll see how long this developing programs incrementally. This 5.9 is an important chapter important section because it sort of, you know, as we start to develop larger and larger programs, you have to kind of have an approach or a philosophy or strategy in getting to where the program is finished. And so we do this sort of stepwise refinement process where we just start big and we put, you know, sections. Sometimes we put off the completion of finishing coding a method until later, and so on, and we end up with our program becoming, it's easy to design that way, because as we increment, as we add more to the program, we do it in a just a little bit at a time, and that means if we put something in there and it doesn't work, we know it's just the last thing we did. So it's easy to isolate our errors that way as we're coding. All right, for nested loops, a nested loop is a loop that appears inside of another loop, and you know, we have an outer loop and an inner loop, and there are various uses. One use is to generate all combinations of items, and so here, for example, we're doing something we are gonna generate all the two-letter domain names, and so to do that, what would we do? We would start by iterating A to Z, and then inside that iteration of A to Z, we have another iteration of A to Z. So here, the printout, the first letter is the outer loop, and the second letter is the inner loop. So we start out with A is the outer loop, and the outer loop stays with the letter A, while the inner loop iterates through all the letters, all the way down to Z, and then finally the outer loop increments to the next letter, and then the inner loop starts over again, A, B, C, all the way down to Z, Z, Y, Z, Z. So this is the outer loop. So the outer loop starts out at A, starts out at letter A, while letter A is less than the letter Z. Then we start out, the inner loop is going to be letter 2, starts out at letter A, and then we loop. The inner loop loops, and this is how we increment a loop, increment a letter. We first want to know the ordinal value of the letter, and that again is ASCII. You can look at the ASCII table for that. See the ordinal value, and any one of these is fine, any ASCII table here. And so we're talking about the letter A, and so here's decimal, and here's the character here, character. So we have the letter A is right over here. So it's 97. So what we do is we have the A, we want the ordinal value, which is 97, and then we add 1 to it, which gives us 98, and then we want the character for that ordinal value, which is going to be B. So that's how we do this. So we start out with A, and so this gives us the ordinal value of, for the first one, it would be A. So 97, and then we add 1 to it, make it 98, and then we want the character, which is represented by 98, and that's going to be B. So then it's B. And this thing keeps on looping, B, C, D, all the way up till we're done, until we hit Z. And then after that, we drop out of this loop, and now we increment the outer loop to the next one. All right. So this has us mess around with that. So here it says, you know, with domain names, only the first. Actually, I think the first character can be a number also. Can the first character be a number? Well, anyway, we can test that. But what this does is this has us change it so it'll go all the way up to so we can have numbers. The second letter can also be a number. So what I would do there is I would go I can do this. All right, will this work? Will it let me do that? That's just a number now. Do I have to do str? Let's see if this works. Hey, looks like it's working. BZ09. Okay. All right, very good. Histogram. You can mess with that. That's pretty cool. All right, nested following code. How many times will the inner body execute? How many times will the inner body execute? Well, it'll execute 3 times 2 is 6. Yeah. All right. Nested loops print a triangle, print a rectangle, I mean. All right. All right. Well, anyway, you get it. So I'm going to stop here, and next time I'm going to start with section 5.9, and I'm going to go back and look at those 2 previous videos for the first part of chapter 8. I might get rid of this, probably get rid of the second one. Anyway, all right. So are there any questions?
I'm doing okay.
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 Very good. Thank you.
All right.
See you next week. Take care.
Are you gonna tomorrow? Are you gonna have class
wait,
tomorrow?
that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Great. See you.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
All right. All right, thank you.